jump back on with one of the lives that I like to do with is a live chat and craft. Now I'm finishing up this project. This is a broccoli all made out of wool, which is like this, right? Just loose wool. And I've been working on this for a couple of weeks. I worked on it a little bit online here in other lives, and I did a little bit offline. But what I want to do now is basically finish this project up. And I'm going to hand this over to my twins, 2-year-olds, the little ones. Back this up a little bit. So I'm going to hand it over to the 2-year-olds, and they're going to get this. But I want to put a little face on it. And this is the flattest side right here. Again, it's just a little broccoli head. It's pretty durable because it's made out of wool. These things are really great. When you make things out of wool felt, they do really well. All I'm going to do is put a little face on this, and that's what I'm going to work on right now. Make the eyes. Eyes are really easy because they're just little balls, and then you just kind of put them in place. I'm going to be real simple here. I'm not going to try to do a complicated face, just a couple lines, little blushes. You'll see here as we continue to work on this. I've had a pretty good week crafting. I don't get a lot of time to craft. I'm crafting in between everything else that I'm doing. Marie, how are you doing? Glad I was able to jump back on with everyone on the live here. I'm always wanting to jump on a live on a Friday night, and just typically I don't have time on a Friday. Saturday I'm busy. I was running out of time tonight, and I said, I want to stick with this because I'm trying to be consistent with jumping on the live and with actually crafting. And if you don't cut that time out for it, well, it just won't happen. So just making some eyes, just so you can see here, it's going to be a little eyeball like that. But I need 2 of those, and I need them to be roughly the exact, well, preferably the exact same size. If not exactly the same, I need them to be as close as possible. Just going to make these little eyeballs. But no, I had a good week crafting in my off hours with a little bit of time I have. I'm going to show you in a few minutes because this project shouldn't take very long, and I'm going to move back into one of my polymer clay projects if I have time. Hopefully I'll have a little time to get to that tonight. So I hope everyone had a good evening. Good evening. Bonjour. Ça va? Okay, so I can tell you I messed up because these eyeballs are not the same size. One of them is bigger than the other one. So these are what I've made. That's not going to work. Like one's double the size of the other one. So let me try again. A little bit more wool, a smaller amount this time. I need these eyes to be the same size. The t-shirt does match the crafting. Green is this olive color green is one of my favorite colors. So yes, it's all blending in. Okay, this seems to be a bit better this time. So I'll set this piece aside. It's just a piece of wool. I can use it for something else. I could turn it into a button or some other craft. So there's no reason to throw that away. It's really important to get these eyes to be as close to the same size as possible. When you start to imprint them into the rest of the project, they will get a little smaller. So I'm gonna make this one a little bit bigger. If I seem chilled, everyone always tells me that. I don't know. I've been running around all afternoon. I make a list of projects to work on Saturday and a list of projects to work on Sunday. Never finish the list, never get everything done that I intend to get done. I've accepted that. Like you always make more of a list than you have time to do. So I don't feel very chilled, but there's a certain amount of forced relaxation going on here where I'm forcing myself to slow down for a few minutes. I do find a lot of satisfaction in just doing something simple like crafting. Okay, so this is the broccoli, and it's one of those things you could always do more, right? But I'm ready to move on to the next project, to be honest with you. If I were to do this again, I would definitely branch it off and give it more heads. And I would kind of work on it a little more. I may tighten this up and get a bit more separation here still. You see how this wool is? You see, look at this, I can pull that and it's not gonna come loose. It's not. But what we're gonna do now is this is the flattest side. Let's go ahead and get these eyes lined up and get them in place. As I look at it, these eyes are going to be pretty big, but it's okay. This broccoli is going to have big eyes. I probably should have did the eyes half the size of what I just did, but it's okay. Again, this is just something that I'm going to hand over to the twins and they can add it to their toy collection. Yeah, the eyes are going to be a little big. It's so funny. So my oldest son plays the trumpet and he's upstairs practicing the trumpet. I don't think you guys can hear it, but there are random trumpet noises wafting downstairs from where he is. I remember when my sister, when I was a kid, she tried to learn how to play the violin. That was rough. If you ever, the trumpet is nowhere near as bad as the violin during that early phase before you really learn what you're doing. But wow, the screeches that used to come off the violin as my sister worked on that. She didn't play the violin for very long. Now I look back on it, I'm pretty sure my parents had a little bit to do with her dropping the violin as an instrument because it is such a hard, horrible sound before you really start to get good. And once you get good, the violin, it's a phenomenal instrument. Like it sounds so good. But in those early stages, it's pretty rough. And so my son is upstairs. He's working on his scales, and he's coming along. This is his second year on the trumpet. He's getting a little better. Not quite balanced the way I like. Okay, here's the eyes. Eyes in place. A little bigger than I like, not quite balanced, but we're gonna keep pressing. Now it's gonna do the mouth. The way I wanna do the mouth, I'm just gonna make a line. I'm not gonna do anything fancy. I could do a mouth where the mouth is open and there's teeth, or I could do a mouth open, there's a tongue. I can do a lot of different designs, but I really want to keep this simple. I don't want to do anything too complicated. So that's all we're working on right now. The eyes are in place. Now so this is the wool, and you can actually do this in your hand. If you want to just kind of, you remember your sister trying to see the violin. You remember your sister trying to learn how to do it because it sticks with you. It sticks with you. My sister, like I said, I don't know how long she I don't even remember because I really was young. She's older than me, and I was a little kid, but I never forgot what it was like living in a house with her as she was trying to learn how to play the violin. So this is the piece of wool that I shaped for the mouth, and it's too long. What I really need now is a pair of scissors just to kind of cut this shorter. Yeah, she had to learn it in a summer house at the bottom of the garden. It is traumatic. It is. It really. If you've never experienced it, I want to say you don't know what you're missing, but it's something you probably you can live without. But yeah, that violin was rough. She switched over to the flute, which is a much softer sounding instrument. a lot easier on the ears. It's a lot easier all the way around. Okay, so I need a pair of scissors, and I don't think I have a pair of scissors with my kit here. Let's see if there's anything in this drawer. No. Oh, got lucky. Look at that. Just cut this off, and then cut this off. And this little piece of wool will be the mouth. Still may be too long. Let me see. I think we'll do a smiley face since I'm going to give it to the littles. Do a little smiley face. I think that's good. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Oh yeah, my one of my other sons is learning to play the recorder, and it's pretty aggressive on the ears as well. I'm throwing my sister under the bus talking about her learning instrument. I remember myself when I tried to learn how to play the drums, and I used to have to practice outside. I was a snare drum, and my parents made me take it outside behind the house. Now that I think about it. And that's where I practice. And even with the drums, you have a pad that you put over the snare to cut the sound. It's still pretty annoying, but it wasn't as bad. But yeah, I used to practice outside behind the house. Good times, right? Good times. Good memories. Okay, very simple. Eyes, mouth. And we're gonna put some little blushes on the cheeks. And I think that'll be pretty much it for this little project. Again, I could continue to work on it, to refine it, to try to make it better, to add some more little baubles to the top, to kind of do a little more with it. But there really is no reason to do that, considering I really want to move on to the next project. And this started out, it was going to be a pumpkin. And it was someone in the chat who said, "Oh, looks like broccoli." And I was like, okay, let's switch it over and let's make broccoli. And that's how we ended up with the broccoli idea. Because I was just going to make a pumpkin, a green pumpkin. I thought that'd be cool. But there's broccoli. It was nice. It was a nice challenge to switch it up and change it into something different. Just going back over the eyes now, making sure they're solid. Okay, again, here we are, just nice little eyes. And I could do like little white in there, but no reason. Next, we're gonna do little blushes on the cheeks. So I have this pink, which is a little pink wool dyed, but I don't know if this is the pink that I wanna use. Let me see if I have another pink in here. This may be the best pink. Oh, you know what? So you can see here, there are two different pinks that I have. And I'm gonna go with the more pastel-y pink. When you do the little cheek blushes, the more pastel color looks better. This is a little bit darker pink. I'm gonna put that back. So let's just take this out. Just trying to make sure I get two even pieces. All right, again, I'm gonna set this to the side and make these little cheek blushes now. These are pretty easy. They're pretty much just like the eyes. I think I want to do bigger cheek blushes this time instead of smaller. Sometimes they're smaller, but I feel like slightly bigger would be a little cooler. So let's see what we can get here. It will stay in one piece, and even in kids' hands, because let me show you. And I'm going to go back over it, and I'll go back over these. The only thing that's at risk, like maybe one or two of these would fall off, but I've gone over them pretty well with multiple needles. But even as I pull, and I'm pulling on it pretty hard. Look at that. That's not faking. I'm actually pulling it, and you see, and even the eyes, what I just put on those pieces, like I'm pulling on them. Look at that. Not going to come off. So I can go over it a little bit just to make sure that it's everything is. These, I want to make sure I have them all in place really good. I think I do. So I do a little bit of touch up work right before I hand it over to the kids, but it really will. It'll hold up. It will hold up to 2-year-old punishment. 2-year-olds can't pull on it harder than I just put on it just there. So it will actually hold up. And it's one of those things that if it doesn't, I can always just take it away from them for a little while, refelt it, and tighten it back up. If any pieces get loose, I could do that. The greatest fear is if someone definitely doesn't go near any heat or fire or heaters or anything like that. Those are all dangerous for considering that it's wool. Sometimes after being played with extensively, they can get a little fuzzy, like some of the wool pieces get a little fuzzy. There's a couple ways you can work on that, but yeah, it'll hold up. I made this piece sturdier than some others. There are other things that you make out of wool that will not hold up, but this one's made pretty thick. Not a lot of small miniature pieces there are any long extensions, anything that's easy to break. I still have the very first thing I ever made out of wool. This stuff lasts a really long time. It doesn't break down. I'm making instrument parts right now. No, right now I'm making the rest of the face. We have the eyes. I just put the eyes on, just put the little mouth on, and I'm going to do little cheek blushes, little pink cheek blushes. That's what I'm working on right now. Rocky, how you doing? Hope you had a good week. It's the start of a new week. It's a cool thing about every week, right? Even if last week was good, great. Let's try to make this week good as well. If last week was not good, cool. Didn't have the best week. Today is Sunday, start of a new week. We can start all over again and start with the new week. So Kenzie's getting her hair done, and one of her favorite things is to play with the water bottle, but the water bottle is cold. She likes to squirt people. While she's getting her hair done, I stay out of the room because I don't want to get squirted by a water bottle. Okay, so these are not perfectly sized. One of them's still a little bit bigger than the other one. And, they really do work better if they're the exact same size. I'm going to kind of just work on this a little more, see if I can tighten it down to get these sizes a little closer together. Yeah, it is busy. So Trey's upstairs practicing the trumpet. Kenzie's getting her hair done. Malachi's running around. I just heard Blair say put a pull up on him. The 2-year-olds in a phase now where they like to take their diapers off randomly. They'll just take everything. They'll fully undress and just streak across the house. And you have to grab them before something bad happens. And they're going through potty training. And so they don't fully understand how to do that yet. But they're also temperamental because they're 2 and they don't like being told what to do. You could say terrible twos if you want to use that. All right. These blushes are close enough. And, you have to decide where you want them. Just kind of basically like right here on the side. I think this will go good right here. It's a good spot for this one. Let's go ahead and get that in place. The house is busy and it goes loud, busy. And then here really soon, all the kids are going to go to bed and then it's going to be quiet. until you hear random thumps. Because last night there was a random thump around 2 a.m. Kenzie fell out of the bed and it was like loud. And then in a couple minutes she came to our room and she was okay, but she did fall out of the bed. She gets frustrated with getting her hair done, and I understand. It's really hard to keep a 2-year-old in place long enough to do that. But Blair's really patient with her, and I just kind of support from the side if they need anything, if Blair needs anything. But as Kenzie gets older, she'll get more comfortable with getting her hair done, and it'll go a little better. But it's a process she has to get used to. But it is pretty busy because who have I talked about? I talked about Trey, which is the oldest boy. But there's Matthew. He's upstairs playing. Yeah, there's 6 kids, guys. 6 kids. They're always up to something. Okay. So there's one blush on this side. Now let's get the other one on the other side. From Malaysia. I want to go to Malaysia. You're in a place that I want to visit. So the closest I've been is Singapore. And that was a trip that my wife went on, and she and I went to Singapore, and that was phenomenal. And while we were in Singapore, we were like, wow, I wish we could go a little further north. I wish we could go to Malaysia. There's a lot of places in Southeast Asia I wish I could visit. Malaysia. I love Thailand. We've been to Thailand. That was great. But Malaysia is really cool from what I've seen. I would love to go over there. Other side of the globe. I mean, I'm in England, but Malaysia is still on the other side of the globe, even from here. Okay. So here we are. Put the little face on and then the little blushes. They're not quite even, but again, it's okay. I'm just handing this over to the kids. I'm not going to do anything, but you can see little cheek blush there, little cheek blush. This was a little further off. And if I was really serious about it, I would have taken more time to make sure I got those lined up perfectly. But guys, I'm literally just going to hand this over to the kids, the 2-year-olds, and just let them play with it. And it becomes one of their toys. So it doesn't have to be, everything doesn't have to be like perfectly aligned. I'm happy with it. What do you think, Trey?
Ooh, looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with this. But I will go over it a little bit, just go back through some of the different sections just to make sure everything is in place. I have these trimmers that I can use to make everything really smooth. I don't even know if I'm going to bother with that particular project part of it. I don't know if it's worth it. But this has worked really well. I picked up some new needles, and they're really tight needles. I mean, they really felt really well. Oh, this one was a little loose. Let me get that. Work that over. So yeah, as I mentioned before, the only thing I'm really concerned about is some of these little broccoli head, the little balls here, if they would pop off. And if they do, if I find them, I can always put it back. And if they do, and I don't find them, I can always make another. It's really not that big of a deal. My oldest daughter, Blakely, she also knows how to needle felt. It was a project she and I did at first together. So even if I can't do it, she's been known to grab a needle and fix a project if it gets messed up. But all I'm doing now is just going back over, making sure everything is tightened up. And it is possible to take it out. What I actually would probably do, instead of taking it out, I would felt it deeper in. So let's say I would keep felting. The more you felt it, it would press it in. It would eventually form a divot. And then I would get more of this exact same color. And then I would just cover over it. So you couldn't even tell it was there. And then I would redo it. But as far as plucking it out, no, it would be harder to do that. My day's been pretty good, Angel. It's been pretty good. It was a good day. I did not accomplish as much as I liked. There are some things that I want to get done outside, but the weather this weekend was aggressive here in England. It was really, really windy. And the rain wasn't so bad where I live here. The rain wasn't. Other people may have gotten really bad rain. We got a lot of bad wind. So I didn't get a chance to do much outside at all this weekend. Not like I intended. But today was okay. I don't have any complaints about today. Watch some football, American football. I really want to get into watching a bit more rugby. I watched some female rugby over the weekend, and I really don't understand the sport. It looks cool, but I just don't understand the sport. And I was watching a lot of highlight reels from, I think her name is, she's plays for New Zealand. I think it's the All Blacks. I think that's the name of the team. Portia Woodman. I think that's her name. Phenomenal. Even with me not knowing everything I should know about how rugby is played, you can still see that she's like a phenomenal player. And then I learned about another guy who unfortunately has passed away, and he was considered one of the greatest rugby players. So I'm trying to learn about rugby because I would love to be able to go to a rugby game here because rugby is played here, and I would love to be able to go to a game or two. But I don't want to go to a game now because I would just be completely lost. I still don't understand. I don't understand enough of the rules, but it looks like a really cool sport. I have seen it played at the Royal Welsh County Show. Broccoli, yeah, that's cool. We give him that name. So this is pretty much it. As I mentioned, I could keep working on this. I could add more of the darker green. The reason these darker green popped up is because my daughter said, oh, the little broccoli head should be a different color than the trunk. She didn't like it all being one color. And I started adding these in. So I could continue to add these. I could double the size of it, right? Make those really big. I could do one here. I can make this bigger. But you reach the point where they're, blow down one of your arches in your garden. Hope it's just blown over and you can rebuild it. But let's move on, right? I could continue to do that, but I'm going to hand this off to the kids. What I have been working on, oh, look at that, it stands up. That's cool. It actually, look at that. Nice flat surface on the bottom. Made the bottom flat, so it'll stand up. Hand this over to Kai and Kenzie a little later. All right, switching gears from polymer clay to from wool. This is a little pumpkin. I actually made this pumpkin like years ago. I don't like it now because it's too upright. I could still fix it if I wanted to. I could just squash it down, and then redo it. But what's the point? I would just make another one. But setting this aside, I may want to get into, now these are something I'm really happy with. I started making these earlier this week. I saw another artist and they made little wreaths, and we're in the harvest season. So I made this little wreath, and I made this one. This is not the first round. I made other ones at first, and like this one, and these are all made out of polymer clay. And then what I do is they're glazed. I put a glaze over them. And see, that's glazed. And here's a bigger one that I made. All these, I made all these this week. And when I had a little bit of free time. So it is really hard to craft this small. And then there's, I'll show you this one as well, just another. The cool thing though, it matches the shirt too. It's that season, is that there are magnets on the back, and all of these are magnetic So all of these are refrigerator magnets at this point. Yeah. So, but I really like these. I think these are really cool. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm doing these now because you stand with this season, the theme. That is true. If you put a pin in it, it would have to be one because these larger ones are heavy. So this is getting a little heavy. But if you did a smaller one, you can make it into a brooch. That's true. You could put a pin on the back. And this one, it all depends on the wreath, how I did the back. So this is one layer and this one is two. So these although these are roughly the same size, this one's heavier because it did two layers on the bottom. So I'm really enjoying making those. Those are a lot of fun to make. Let me set up and see if I can make some more. Because what I had left when I made them, I ended up with a lot of, so you make the little pumpkins. Oh, I lost one. You make the tiny little pumpkins first, and then you bake them individually. So I made these little pumpkins here. You can just see these are pumpkins, and here's another little flower. These are all clay. They're baked. So they're pretty sturdy. And then here's a little black one. What I need to do though is make more of the bases. And I can make one. I have enough here of the little pieces to make at least one more. So I'll make one base and then I'll bake that tonight. And that'll be the end of that project. And then I'll move on to something else. Right now, I need this, just a brown polymer clay. I may start to sell it if I can ever get enough of an inventory built up, and if I can get, I have that problem that I think that a lot of artists have. I mean, I will admit I'm a little bit of an artist, right? But a lot of artists have the problem where they never feel as though what they're working on is at the level to sell, right? It's because you look and you're always seeing other people. I'm sorry, I need my bag of tubes. You're looking and you're always seeing what other people are creating, and you feel as though, well, what I do is okay, but it's not as good as what these other people are able to do. And so, you always feel like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to craft anything. I don't want to try to sell anything. Who will buy it? Because the quality is not as good as what other people can do. So I admit I get caught up in that. Does Blair do? Blair does nothing of the sort. No, it's really not a forte of hers to craft. Okay, so if I'm doing all the arts and crafts, she's doing all of the hardcore homework. Blair could easily, she has a degree in chemical engineering. That's what her degree is in. But she could have just as easily gotten a degree in mathematics. What she enjoys doing in her free time is working with the kids on their homework and teaching them math quizzes, and they do math games, and they do science, right? Science is between Blair and I. The kids can come to either of us for science questions. I mean, my degrees are in science. Blair's, again, chemical engineer. So, we do debate over who should answer certain questions sometimes. But she really enjoys the other aspects of it. What she's really into, I think, is a lot of perfumes and different things like that. But she doesn't really do arts and crafts. Now, Blakely does arts and crafts. The kids do it with me. My nephews have asked to do some arts and crafts with me. When I go back, I'm going back to the States probably at the end of this month. Well, not probably. My brother's getting married next month. So I want to go back and do some arts and crafts with my nephews. They've asked to do some stuff with me. But this is not Blair's forte. But she will weigh in. I show her the different pieces and say, hey, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And she gives me her opinion, whether she thinks it's good or whether she thinks it's bad. And I also have a YouTube channel where I do a lot of floral things. I have a gardening channel, Dr. Max Garden Style. And Blair's been working with me. She goes with me to the flower wholesaler, and when I'm selecting the flowers I'm going to make a bouquet out of, she jumps in with me like, hey, this flower looks really good. I like this. I like that. And that's just as much as I can get with her on the crafting side. She doesn't really do a lot of the crafting. She appreciates things that are pretty and well crafted. Like she likes these little wreath things, and I like them too because these are all themed for the current like harvest season towards the end of the end of the year right now, where we're heading into this end of the growing season, not the end of the year, end of the growing season. But I'm really excited because I'm like, hey, I would love to be able to do a wreath for the next time of year, right? Which is like the holiday season. But I'm trying to think of what all goes on that. Something red and white and thinking about those colors. And I think that'd be really cool to do like Christmas themed wreaths. I think it'd be really cool. Maybe put a little gingerbread man on it. Just different ideas come into my mind of what I want that to look like. Would the base be brown or would the base be green? Just all those little different variances. And then you make things. You make one with brown, one with green, see which one you like the most, and then switch it over. No, I appreciate that. I may sell it. The other side of it is I'd have to get the packaging, and then I'd have to make sure I can, I want to meet, if I'm going to sell something, I want to meet the expectation. So it has to be packaged nice, and I have to make sure I have time to do it. Right now, I'm just enjoying crafting. These are skills that once I continue to work with them and continue to develop, like I will probably end up having to sell some of these things at some point. At least I'll throw them up on Etsy because I have a whole shelf of things that I made. I have one shelf over here of things I made, and then I have all the little pumpkin houses. And I was talking to Blair, and I said, I need to figure out something to do with all these things. They're really nice, so I don't want to throw them away. But we're running out of shelf space. So what you do is you can see, if you see, I would just kind of keep working with this clay. This clay is hard. It's not rock hard, but it's hard. And you have to just kind of massage it with your hands to shape it, to soften it up, to condition it. So I'm conditioning the clay right now. That's true. Just having the time to go through with those other aspects of it. But, it may be worthwhile to do at some point. All right. And this is pretty much all I need to do with this. And see, it went from hard and now it's doesn't have to be perfectly level for this project either, but it does have to be big enough. And there's the outer ring. And then let me do the inner ring, And then there's the inner ring. And let me take that out. Wonderful but exhausting. You know what? If you think my life is wonderful but exhausting now, I will tell you what. Before we moved to the UK, we lived in Maryland, and we had a 16-acre farm, and we had the whole old McDonald's farm going on, where we had cows, chickens, ducks, pigs. We were managing, Blair and I were both working. We were fully managing a farm. Now, 16 acres isn't a massive farm, but we had, I don't know, 9, 10, 12 cows. When we had enough cows, we had 3. We kept typically 2 to 3 or 4 pigs. We had about 14, 15 chickens and ducks. So it was a pretty active farm. It still took a lot of work to manage it. So, but we still had 4 kids. So we had work, 4 kids, and a farm. And 2 dogs in the mix of all of that as well. So we were much busier than we are now. course, I had a beautiful garden at that place. That was when we left the United States. The one thing that I told Blair that I said I'm going to miss the most is my garden. I spent years developing the garden, planning everything, really had it to the way I wanted. I was really sad to leave my garden. Not to leave the farm, because the farm is a lot of work. I grew up on a farm, so I know what it requires, but farm work is pretty busy. Yes. So my point is, it's busy now. It's not as busy as it was. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. So sorry. Okay. Now, this is a polymer glue. You could call it a polymer glue. It's not like a super glue or a normal glue. This is a liquid polymer. And I need a pair of tweezers. Blakely, are you in here? Go to where we keep all of the tweezers. You know where the tweezers and stuff are? My closet.
Yes, sir.
Bring me a pair. Is it like a needle nose? A pair of long ones. At the end is very narrow. Go bring me those tweezers, because I'm going to need that, because these things are really small. So all I'm doing now is I'm placing the pumpkins around the wreath. Just filling them in. Now this one will be a little different. They're all a little different, but I had these pumpkins left over, and I was like, well, what else am I going to do with these little pumpkins? And so I do a ring. It's maybe, I don't know how you could see it, but it's under the letters. I don't want to pick it up, but I'll try to show you. I'm just kind of starting to pull it together here. But it is very rewarding. I don't want to make farm life sound like it's all bad. It's not, because we would get chickens as tiny little chicks, because that's what we would purchase them as chicks. And we also had a nearby Amish community that was in Southern Maryland with us as well. And that's who we worked with a lot. We did most of our gardening in conjunction with work, like what I mean by with the Amish. We would purchase our feed from the Amish, some of our chickens. It's another pair. I can use these, but it's another pair that have a longer, more narrow end on it. I can use these until if you can find another one. It is not an American thing that they call me, sir. It is a Southern thing, meaning American South. American South. It is a very common in the American South. And, I remember when Blair and I first had our first kid, and we were thinking, and we had said to ourselves, like, having our kids say, ma'am, yes, ma'am, sir, no, sir. We felt as though that was really old school and antiquated. And we were like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want our kids to say, sir, yes, ma'am. They don't have to do that. And we were serious too. Like, nope, don't want that. This needs some leaves on it. And I said, I don't want that. And Blair agreed. We're like, nope, we don't want our kids to say that to us. We want them to be a bit, more free with us. And we were happy with that idea until the child who's going to get the things for me right now, she came in to the room. I think she was like 1 or 2. And I remember asking her a question, cut myself. I remember asking her a question, and she turned around and she said, what? And I was like, oh, no. And then she was talking to Blair, and she said, what? And I was like, I don't like that. And so it slowly evolved into more of a cultural thing. But it is very common in America for kids to say, sir, yes, ma'am. Now, I find that children from the Midwest, North, different parts of the country, maybe out West too as well, it carries over, but definitely in the part of the country where we're both from, Blair and I are both from the American South. In that part of the country, it is still very, very common. And it is so common that even when I have nieces and nephews who are grown, I mean, flat out grown. And I tell them, you know, like, you don't have to say it anymore. And they're like, oh, okay, we won't say it anymore. And then I say something to them and they turn around and say it again. Like, sir. And it's just, once it's in them, kids have learned how to do it. It's kind of hard to break them out of it. But it is cultural, regional and cultural. They do have manners, and that is good. And in American culture, it works. I remember when I started working on my job, I was 24, 25, my first official job. I remember that. And my bosses were all quite a bit older than me. And they were like, don't, you know, and not just my bosses, but also my coworkers as well. And they were like, do not say sir to me. I am not your boss. And so it was actually a hard thing for me to learn to not say it myself. And I still find myself I still say it on occasion at work to people. It's not that big of a thing. It is a cultural thing though, something you learn. So this green to me is a little light, and the coloration of this green is a little light, and it's working, but I feel like it's not quite autumn season. It's not the color of my shirt. And I want a darker color green to work with. Here we go. That's a whole bag of clay, and I've been buying clay for years, so I just put it in these big bags. Okay, this is better. This color is closer to the shirt, not exactly the same, but just, I feel like the darker green is more seasonal for right now for this type of wreath. I think this green is gonna go really well when I get to doing the little wreaths that are more Christmas themed, holiday themed. I think the lighter green will match that season. I'm also ordered some stencils that'll help me make leaves, and because I feel like these are missing leaves, and like I'm really kind of feeling the leaves. Now I'm not done with the little pumpkin houses. I'm still working on the pumpkin houses. What is the Deep South? The Deep South is south of the Mason-Dixon line in the United States. So let's take these states, all the states that during the Civil War were on the south of the Confederacy. But we're talking about, let's say, Texas, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. I'm from Arkansas, Louisiana. And that's considered the Deep South. Now, that is... That's probably better than what I have. Is that all you saw up there?
That was pointier, like you said.
Okay, I'll go take a look. These will work too. I'll take them back. Thank you. These will work. But the Deep South is not just geographic. It is geographic, but it's also cultural. There's just some cultural aspects of living in that region. Cultural foods, the way people act, the way people talk. The South is just different than, say, the Mid-Atlantic or the North. The North would be New England. And, you know, there are aspects of it that regionally like better than in other areas. But I grew up in the Deep South, so that's why I'm more comfortable there. The part of the country that I really like, but I don't think I could live there, is because I just don't really match with the area culturally, and that is California out west. California feels so different to me when I go out there. As someone who's from like the South, I spent a lot of time in San Francisco Bay Area, and I really like it, but it just feels foreign. I mean, California almost feels like, in many cases, it almost feels like I'm in a different country. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying compared to where I'm from, culturally, California is quite different. Bible Belt. The Bible Belt is actually bigger than the Deep South because the Bible Belt can actually extend up into other regions. But I'm not trying to be funny, but go to Google and it will have maps and show you where these regions are. But the Bible Belt is another good example. Like, yeah, there's a lot of aspects tied into that Bible Belt as well, because I spent a lot of time in church. That is definitely an aspect of it. But I think the Bible Belt also includes more of the central part of the country as well. If I'm correct, I'm not completely sure. I haven't looked up these things in quite a while. So what I'm doing now is I'm just making some little leaves to go on this wreath. So it's not all just pumpkins. I've just now started working on projects this small with polymer clay. Up to this point, I've been doing projects that are much bigger. If you look at some of the pumpkin houses that I was doing, much larger projects. This is kind of my first foray really into doing things that are much smaller like this, but they're a lot of fun. They just take a bit more time. It's really shocking to me sometimes how much time and effort these smaller projects take. You would think, oh, it's small, so it wouldn't take long. Like, let's take this wreath. This wreath, to make all those little pieces, because you have to make all the pieces and then you still have to put them all on there. Kind of hot in here. It's hot in here now because the auger's on. We finally got the auger fixed. It wasn't fixed. We turned it off because it was hot. But we had someone come in and they worked on it. And the auger is sitting right beside me. And if you know anything about them, they are phenomenal, but they get hot. And I'm just sitting here and I know windows open. And so the auger's kind of toasty. But it feels great as the winter, as it gets colder and like into the winter, you come into the kitchen and that auger's on and it feels phenomenal. So these wreaths are cool, but it's really hard to get the little pieces of everything that you want to stay on it and stay in place. So you can't pick it up because then everything will fall off. We do go to church. It is fiddly. I don't know if you can make it out, but these little pieces keep falling off. It is very fiddly. But the final result, and that's also why these look shiny, because I did a polymer I did a polymer resin on them. The polymer resin makes them much harder. It makes it much harder, but it also makes those little pieces, it stops them because they're sealed in place, right? They won't fall off now. And a resin on pieces like that with something with so many tiny little pieces, these are fiddly projects. Definitely really small, but from a relaxation standpoint, it's cool. But as I mentioned, this is my first time kind of really stepping into something this small. I don't normally do projects this small, but I'm liking it. It's kind of fun. Augers are really nice. They really are, but they take a bit of maintenance. And then of course, if you had one out Did you have one of the more modern ones, which is the electric one? The electric ones are pretty cool, but ours is not. Ours uses heating oil, which we have to pay for that. Most of the home is heating oil here, but I do enjoy the Aga. Those cold winter days when it's just cold and it's not even so much dreary, but just cold, and you come into the kitchen, and no matter what, the kitchen is even if the rest of the home is cool, the kitchen is toasty warm because that Aga is sitting there just churning out heat and radiating heat. And the floor here is tile. So the floor is warm. The kitchen just becomes, at that time of year, the kitchen becomes the one of the favorite rooms in the home. And then you can cook on it as well. We use the Aga more for heating than cooking, but you can also cook on it, which is really cool. I do enjoy cooking on the Aga. I don't bake in it though. We have another stove here for cooking and baking as well. But so I don't bake in the Aga, but I do cook on it on occasion. And so this is another, just like the broccoli, what I'm working on now. Oh, there's a really nice Aga bread from it. I'm sure was fabulous. This is another project here with these little wreaths that I'm making where you're done whenever you say you're done. Because you could just keep packing stuff on there. I mean, you really can. Like technically, I could probably stop on this one right now if I wanted to and say, hey, that's it, I'm done. But I want to just I like to just continue to add little things until I just can't find anywhere else to squeeze something onto it. But that does mean that it does become, to use their word fitly. You know what my favorite British word is? And I mean, what I mean by British word, I mean word that is said in the UK that I don't hear in the US. I've never really heard in the US. I do not have heated floors now. Waffling. I love waffling. No, I'm not saying I love waffling. I'm saying I love the fact the Brits use the word waffling. Oh, he's waffling. Oh, she's waffling. And I was like, oh, that's such a cool word. We should definitely bring that one across the pond to the US. But I like waffling. Okay. So just kind of adding in some leaves here just to kind of give it a little bit more texture. And I think I'm gonna do one more and then I'm gonna stop because I'm holding up the kids. It's way past time. I didn't realize it had gotten so late. It's been fun hanging out with you guys, but it's getting late. it's getting late. And I think the only reason the kids are still up is because Kenzie's still getting her hair finished up. And so we have to get this house shut down. School tomorrow, work tomorrow, and starting a whole new week. We still don't have our vehicle back, if anyone's keeping up with that. We lost our car. It has been in the shop. It's going to be in the shop for another week. We've been driving a rental for a very long time. We've been driving a rental so long, I'm starting to feel like I own the thing. It's very expensive to maintain a rental as long as we have because we're driving like a really large van. It's costing us like 700 pounds a week just to keep the rental. We have to have something that can move our kids, but our vehicle, it's in bad shape. We just bought it 3 years ago, bought it brand new, but it got into bad shape. So, and no, yes, we did take it to the shop to get it worked on. We've only ever taken it to the dealership, but that's just the way things are. Things, these things happen. And so we still don't have our vehicle back. Not happy about that at all, but it just is one of those things. I'll say it like that. It's one of those things. Hopefully we'll get the vehicle back by the end of the week and then we can keep, get back on the road with the kids and everything, and we'll be up and running, can save ourselves some money because it's so expensive to keep this rental. But in the meantime, we do have a rental and we're moving the family around. Okay. I think I do one right here. Turn it that way and sit that there. All right, I'm gonna stop right here. I could do more with this, and I may add in 1 or 2 more pieces, but I just kind of tilt it down so you can see it. Insurance is not paying for the rental. Hi from India. Wow, Malaysia and India. That is, Anna, it's really wonderful to have people jump in from that side of the world. This is, I'm just gonna stop right here. Oh, you see that little pumpkin fell off? That's why I don't like to tilt it. This is gonna go straight from here, flat, and then into the oven. One of my little pumpkins fell off. Let's get it picked up and put it back in place. The funny thing is, I don't even know where this little pumpkin came from, but I think it was right here. All right, I'm not gonna tilt this anymore. But that's, I hope you can see it. Nice little wreath. These pumpkins were pre-baked, but it's polymer clay is cool. I can bake them again. This wreath, I'll go and bake this, and then I will glaze it, and I'll stick, once it's baked, I'll put the magnets on it, I'll glaze it, and it will look quite a bit like this one when it's done. And again, these are all on the refrigerator right now. I had to put them up high so that Kenzie and Kai can't grab them. But yeah, I've been having fun making these little wreaths. So everyone, it is getting late and I'm gonna have to jump off here. Babies are tired and it's a long night. We're gonna shut it down. I will hopefully get back on here again next week for another craft and chat. I do enjoy talking with all of you, so I appreciate everyone jumping in. And I will talk to you all soon. Have a good week.